economy. Oh, shit. An meinen Sekretär bitte eine Anzeige auf eBay Kleinanzeigen vorbereiten. Habe Baronie zu vergeben. Gesucht werden Leute, die sehr viel managen wollen und die mit sehr viel Druck umgehen können. Ich bin dann mal weg. Ah, was ist denn jetzt eigentlich mal mit meinen... Ich werde auch erstmal vorher abspeichern, bevor ich da irgendjemanden einsetze. Ach, guck mal, wir haben jetzt... jetzt ist Jathal Teil unserer Party. Nice. Stufe 1 Inquisitor. Neutral Evil. Chaotic Neutral. Ich meine, wir können ihn da einsetzen. Ich halte jetzt Harim nicht für grundsätzlich schlecht. Aber als High Priest, Mann. Oh mein Gott. Wir machen jetzt erstmal einen Test, dass wir hier ein paar Leute einsetzen und gucken, ob sie damit aus der Party raus sind. Also hier würde ich eigentlich erstmal Jord einsetzen. Als High Priest. General. Damit haben wir erstmal 2 Positionen besetzt mit Leuten, die sowieso nicht zur Party gehören. Counselor. Regent. Ich glaube, sie kann recht... Also sie ist zumindest... Man hat es ihr als Adliger beigebracht, nett zu sein. Also, naja, höflich. Diplomatisch. So, warte mal. Dann gehen wir jetzt mal raus. Und wenn ich jetzt das Gebiet verlassen, wenn ich jetzt irgendwo hingehen möchte, kann ich dann trotzdem noch mit denen eine Party bilden? Direkt hier auf die World Map.
Hello, my savior. You asked if we'd meet again, and here I am.
A savory aroma of herbs and flowers is the first thing that lets you know that your long-time acquaintance is here. The nymph looks at you in a strange way, like she's never looked at you before.
I see your fate has changed since last we met. Now you are the ruler who will determine the destiny of these lands. I am their living heart, the whisper of the wind, the strength of rivers, the luxuriant growth of the meadows. Do you wish to touch this power?
Touch it.
I will show you a place where we can finally meet in flesh, you and I. Deep in the woods, there is an old mossy ruins long abandoned,
Mossy?
nearly swallowed by the thicket. There is an old tree growing among the stones in the yard, which I remember as a seed. Shadow under its green crown, I call my verdant chambers. Visit me there, my lady, and come alone. A nymph's reward awaits you.
Sexy time. Wait, I wish to ask you something.
Forgive me, nymphs are not made for cities. The noise and vanity of human settlements vex me. I will answer all your questions, but there, in the silence of my asylum.
Was happy to help. I'll see you soon in the verdant chambers.
So long. I will await you there, as the ground waits for spring under the heavy winter's snow.
Aber... Ja, warte. Lass uns jetzt erstmal gucken, ob ich denn überhaupt noch hier... Okay, doch. Okay, ich kann die trotzdem noch in die Gruppe mit aufnehmen. Ja, cool. Ja, cool.
Adventures can wait.
Warte mal. Also wenn ich ihn jetzt wegschicke, dann ist er wirklich weg, oder? Wir testen das nochmal. Nee. Gut. Gott sei Dank. Gott sei Dank.
Adventures can wait.
Okay. Kann ich die Advisor dann eigentlich nochmal austauschen? Hm? Okay. Probieren wir das doch mal. Was ist denn das jetzt? Ich werde mich noch mal kurz in meiner Stadt hier umgucken. Wer ist denn jetzt überhaupt dieser blinde Elf?
Adventures can wait.
How may I serve you, Your Grace?
If I were to offer you a public position, what job would you like to do?
I believe I can manage to uphold the law. Being a warden would suit me well.
What did you do to be exiled? I believe I have a right to know.
Fair enough. For a Garess, the prosperity of the house and the honor of the name stands above all else. And I was betrothed to a widow from another noble house. This union was of great importance to the family. However, 3 months before the wedding, I met a commoner girl, gentle and pure, and we fell in love. I would have rather died than leave my Tanya. So I decided to break off the engagement with my noble bride. I could never have expected what would follow. My father was furious. I'd set a pointless love affair above the interests of the house. He expelled me from the family and ordered to leave our lands under threat of death. And Tanya, her mother was seriously ill, and she stayed behind to care for her rather than follow me into exile. Thus, I was on my own, disgraced, without a name, and without love.
Eine tragische Liebesgeschichte.
Don't imagine that I ask for pity. Everyone gets what they deserve.
Okay. See you later. Cassil? Cassil Aldori, elegantly dressed in formal clothes as always, welcomes you with a courteous half-bow. Your Grace. I'd like to know more about you. Happy to serve, Your Grace. Tell me of your origins. I grew up alone on the streets of Restov. I know nothing of my parents. It's more than likely that my mother just wanted to be rid of me. Probably left me somewhere in an alley as a baby. And I don't feel I have the right to blame her. I don't remember how I survived. My first memory is of sneaking into someone's backyard. I must have been 3 or 4 and trying to steal food from a cat. A half-orc among the Brevik aristocracy is a rare sight indeed. Lady Jamandi Aldori herself brought me into the family. She picked me up off the streets when I was about 14. I was fighting some Lord's guardsmen. Their master had expressed his wish in a most inappropriate manner to acquaint me with his female wolfhound in the hopes of producing offspring. Cassel's lips turn up slightly at the corners, stopping just short of looking sinister. No other sign of emotion crosses his face. I was at what would politely be called a disadvantage when I saw a flashing beam of light reflect off a lone sword. What happened next was too fast for me to follow, but all 3 of my torturers fell to the ground, a single woman standing above them. She turned to the Lord and coldly asked him, "And just what is it you're doing in here?" Castle speaks almost reverently, genuine awe in his voice. I had never seen a Restovic noble so afraid, but he was almost reverent, and this lord was a close companion to the mayor at that. At the time I had no idea who this woman was, but I couldn't keep myself from rushing after her, well, hobbling really, and pleading with her, "Teach me, please, teach me." What's it like for you living among humans? It isn't easy, Your Grace. I was born and raised in Restov. I don't know a single word of Orc. I devoted my entire life to proving myself worthy to bear the name Aldori. But to most people, I'm still a half-Orc, first and foremost. Anything else is secondary. It infuriated me when I was younger, but with age, I've learned to accept my fate. To me, I'm simply Castle, a street urchin from Restov who became a street urchin from Restov who became the student of Sword Lord Jaman the Aldori. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you. Let's discuss something less personal. If it pleases your grace. I need to discuss politics and affairs of the barony with you. How may I be of service, your grace? What's the situation between the Aldori and the royal house Surtova? Cassiel's face remains impassive, but his speech becomes slower, more deliberate. The Surtovas and the Aldori are different in nature and spirit. They are as water and stone, a snake and an eagle. When Corel the Conqueror came to our lands, the Surtovas didn't even attempt to defend themselves. They gave up the crown in exchange for positions of power in the new court, along with the safety of their lands. The Aldori went to war and lost. I dare not even say valiantly lost. The damage inflicted on Rostland's armies by the Red Dragons of Corel the Conqueror, well, it was a slaughter, a crushing defeat. A barely noticeable frown darkens Castle's face. Even with 2 centuries of effort, the Aldori and Rostland have yet to fully recover. For 2 centuries, we fought for survival, while the Surtovas have flourished and grown stronger at the side of the throne. Needless to say, now that King Nolski Surtova and his sister Natala rule over Brevoy, our relationship hasn't improved. The Surtovas fear the Aldori, and the Aldori don't trust the Surtovas. That's the current situation between our houses. Naja, ist ein Halborg. Ich weiß ja nicht, wie ein richtiger Ork aussieht in dem Spiel. Vielleicht noch irgendwie grüner und gemeiner? What can you tell me about the River Kingdoms? In times past, they were little more than a nest of bandits. Frankly, that hasn't really changed. Castle frowns disapprovingly. Of all the kingdoms, Pitax is probably of the greatest interest. King Irovetti rose to power too quickly and too easily. I would recommend your grace take great caution with him. I have questions on another topic. You must know much of the history of Brevoy in the neighboring lands. In Restov, I spent nearly as much time studying historical chronicles as I did training with the sword. What would you like to discuss, your grace? Längere Szene 100% bestimmt. Bestimmt. I'd like to hear about the early history of Brevoy. That's a story written in blood, Aldori blood mostly. In the beginning, Brevoy was 2 independent lands. House Surtova reigned over Isia, and the Aldori ruled Rostland. They were not peaceable neighbors. Isia's soil was too poor to sustain its population, and its people were too cruel and proud to simply stand by and watch as their neighbors prospered. I'd be willing to bet that Restov's northern walls still hold a few marks left by the Surtova soldiers during their frequent raids from ages past. It was Corel Rogarvia, later known as Corel the Conqueror, who put an end to all that. He brought each realm to its knees. Only one side knelt willingly. The other ended up first paying a devastating toll. Lichtchen, grüß dich. Tell me about the Sword Lords. I could speak for days about the Sword Lords, but I'll try to condense things so as not to bore your grace. Our history goes back to ancient times, when Rostland was ruled by Baron Syrian first. He was a notorious squabbler and duelist, but at the time he wasn't as skillful as he thought. After losing a fight against a local gang leader, the Baron was the one who issued the challenge, and went into exile to hide his shame. But that was just the beginning. No one knows where Syrian wandered, but a few years later he returned to Rostland and a changed man. He challenged the same gang leader to another duel and bested him handily. The Baron then declared an open challenge. Anyone who could defeat him would be rewarded handsomely. After that, not a month would pass without Syrian seeing another challenger. Renowned fighters and experienced warriors came and went, but none, not a single one, could best the Baron. In those years, Syrian took on his new name, Aldori, but many people prefer to call him simply the Sword Baron. But the Baron was the first Sword Lord. The very same. His heirs inherited the secrets of his dueling style, along with the name Aldori. Ever since, the name has been passed down from master to student, along with the title Sword Lord. The Aldori are simultaneously a family and an alliance. Sword Lords will usually teach their own children, but many of us were brought into the family from outside the family. Occasionally, you can even find a half-orc fosterling or two. Castle gives a slight bow. It changed the subject. How do you like being general? Castle bows. I thank you for the faith you place in me. I shall do my best to prove worthy of your trust. Thank you, I've learned what I needed. Okay. Reden wir nochmal mit Lindsay.
Adventures can...
Just a moment, I just got something. Lindsay quickly scribbles something in her notebook, then raises her eyes and smiles at you. Hi! Okay, nichts Neues. Octavia? Auch nichts Neues? Shared Stash. Aha, ja. Hier ist wieder meine Truhe.
I'm there.
Harim? Auch nichts Neues? Okay. Storyteller. Ein Storyteller. Ach, das ist der blinde Elf. The man standing before you resembles an elf, but a very old one. His face is wrinkled and his beard is as white as mountain snow. The man seems to be completely blind. The old man stares past you with unseeing eyes. He seems to be consumed in his thoughts. He mutters a soft melody, swaying back and forth slightly to its rhythm. The man shudders briefly and stops singing. His mouth opens and closes a few times, bringing to mind a fish brought ashore. Ah, who's there? Is that you, your grace? Who are you? I am an elf from Kunin. My name is not important. I am the storyteller, collector of stories. I collect unknown legends of ancient times. The man smiles, but it doesn't seem to be directed toward you. Long ago, I was a smith in Kunin. The fire of the forge has burned out my eyes, but I am grateful for it. If I could see, I would yet forge suits of armor for Iadara's gods. Instead, I have stepped on the path of an adventurer and gatherer of ancient legends. This is in Kunin, the homeland of the elven race on Golarion. Kunin was almost completely evacuated by the elves just before the fall of the Starstone. They only recently, by elven standards, returned to Golarion to reclaim their ancient homeland and have become an isolationist realm, allowing few non-elven visitors into the mist-shrouded capital, Iadara. The old man ponders silently for a moment. Many peoples are long dead. Their homes crumbled to dust, and their bodies turned to ash. Only legends can still tell us of their triumphs and defeats, their joys and their fears. I would be so interested to hear the stories told about us after our demise. I have always been drawn to the Stolen Lands, where countless expeditions, armies, and even kingdoms have met their untimely ends. When I learned of a new barony being founded in the heart of these lands, I knew I wanted to be part of its story. So I made the journey here. Are you really an elf? Do other elves age like you have? A common question. Despite my unusual looks, I am an elf. And an old one, yes. Perhaps older than any other elf of Kionin. However, I doubt my age alone is responsible for my appearance. I keep the stories of many people and races, some forever gone from the face of Golarion, but they live in my memory and my heart. When I accept a new story, I lock it within myself, bearing the weight of its words and the emotions they invoke. I sometimes think that I probably should have died long ago. but some incomprehensible force is keeping me alive and granting me the ability to continue my quest to gather stories. Be it divine power or fell curse, I'm grateful either way. How could you tell it was me? The old man smiled slightly. It is not so hard to recognize a ruler by the way she walks. No one in here steps as confidently as you, your grace. Hell curse? Ja, vermutlich the Burning Legion. Aber ich glaube, du bist gar nicht in WoW unterwegs, oder Quaggy? Oder? Alright, would you care to trade stories with me? The man's voice rustles like autumn leaves. I'm a collector, not a trader. If I share a story with you, you receive the power to pass it further, changing or embellishing it, whether willingly or not. Can I be certain you will keep my stories intact in their absolute purity? The storyteller ponders for several moments. No, I do not think so. At least, not yet. Wow, hast du noch nie gespielt. These legends are the most precious valuables of this world. The lost remnants of ancient tribes. They are beacons, or beacon people, illuminating the way to the past, allowing us to meet generations long ago. I cannot let their light fade. The path to the past must not be lost. The old man thinks for a moment and then continues. But I can offer you a deal, your grace. If on your journeys you discover items that come from eras past, bring them to me. And if my eyes can see the stories that these relics hold, I will gladly share them with you. Ich habe einigen Kram gefunden. I found the shard of an ancient artifact. Can you restore it for me at the anvil? May I? The storyteller gently touches the items from your pack. This scorched piece of metal is a part of a curious artifact, known as the Necklace of Double Crosses. Inside it I sense a story, many deeds. Not heroic, but low and maleficent. If you find all 7 of its fragments, I will be able to restore the artifact and recount its inglorious story. I've brought some relics. Are any worth of a story? The storyteller's eyebrows raise. How interesting. May I, your grace? He gently touches the items from your pack. A coin from a non-existent country. When Coral the Conqueror mastered Rostland, having claimed it for Brevoy, he prohibited the issuance and use of such coins. Both ordinary folk and the Odori sword lords were required to use new coins, decorated with Coral's profile. But no one was quick to be rid of these prohibited coins, oh no. In many houses they still store boxes and hold chests of such coins, waiting for the day when Rostland declares its independence. Oh, er ist umgetauscht. The storyteller fingers caress the symbol, shaped like a tree leaf. And what is this? I hear the voices of trees, smell the scent of fresh leaves. A druid mark, is it not? I would be happy to purchase it from you. Haben wir ordentlich Kohle gemacht. The storyteller idly toys with the ancient plain-looking coin. What was the name of the Coloran ruler who you issued this coin? Does anyone remember now? What did the Cyclops use it to purchase? Food? Books? Weapons? Perhaps someone's life or their freedom? Who can say? Its history was erased by the Earthfall, but I will buy it from you significantly more than it was worth in its own time. The ancient Cyclops coin. Wir sind reich! Coloran was the name by which an ancient Cyclops empire was known in the records of Iblidus, which itself is one of the oldest human civilizations of Casmaron. The empire was founded by exiled Cyclopses escaping from brutal Golgan, but did not last long. Today the area that was Coloran is part of Eubaria. The empire was destroyed in an event known as Earthfall and the ensuing chaos of the Age of Darkness. Was ist Earthfall? Earthfall is a name given to the cataclysmic event in which a swarm of meteorites impacted Golarion in minus 5293 AR. It resulted in the destruction of the human empires of Tessilon and Asland, which were consumed by earthquakes and massive tidal waves, and the creation of the inner sea. The cloud of dust thrown up by Earthfall's impact settled in Golarion's upper atmosphere and bloated out the sun for 1000 years, creating the Age of Darkness. 1000 Jahre ohne Sonne. Mein Gott, werden so reich. The storyteller weighs the soldier's tag in his palm. The soldier does not ask where the banners of war are headed. He or she goes to battle, dies, and leaves it to others to decide whether the cause was just. This tag belonged to one of the many warriors who helped establish the glory of the Taldan Empire. If you would permit me, I would gladly purchase it. Das war jetzt eine Menge Kohle. I need a wise advisor at my court. Would you like to serve me in matters of state? The storyteller's voice grows soft. Thank you for your words. I am unlikely to be able to interpret the intricacies of the political world or the affairs of the treasury. But my advice regarding the magic of the arts would be useful to any ruler. Yeah, remember, in your travels, pay special attention to items from ancient areas. There must be an abundance of such things throughout the stolen lands. For these lands, remember stories of rise and fall of many kingdoms. Okay. I'll leave you to your legends till we meet again. Storyteller doesn't answer, his unseeing eyes staring ahead.